afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Woo! Woo! We are at the finish line. My name is David Doe, and I'm the commissioner of the Taxi and Limousine Commission, and we are so excited to be here to celebrate that we have closed on 1,000 medallion modifications. This is an exciting time for all these guys behind me. They have been advocating, they have been working so hard to ensure that they can have a better future. Congratulations. You know, this administration is the administration that gets stuff done. And under the leadership of Mayor Adams and Deputy Mayor Joshi, we got stuff done. I would be remiss if I did not also thank the people behind me, but also the TLC commissioners who voted for the rules package, Budget Director Jock Jiha, and the Corporation Counsel Judge Heinz Radix. And with that, I am truly honored to introduce Senator Schumer, who has been a fighter in this, who brought everyone together to the table so that we can all be here today. Senator Schumer.
Well, thank you. It is great to be here today. I want to thank everybody first. Not on this subject, a little bit of good news. The House just passed our push to get money for home heating for the LIHEAP program, $1 billion. It had run out of money. It's the same bill I negotiated and talked about yesterday. It's home energy assistance, and now the federal pot sits at $5 billion, enough to heat our homes, the people's bills are going up because of the gas crisis, because of the heating crisis, and now there will be some money to help our elderly, to help our working people heat their homes and not have to choose between food and heat or medicine and heat. The money will be there for them. So that's some good news. Now, to the issue that just happened an hour ago. Okay, so let me say first that we are here to hail a hallelujah. Let's hail a hallelujah, everybody. Hail a hallelujah, because things today are fairer for our hard-working cab drivers. We all know the recent plight of the taxi drivers. Over the years, so many of them put their hope and soul and dollars, their life savings, into medallions. My father-in-law was a cab driver. He bought his medallion for $3,000 in the 40s, in the early 50s. And for him, it was a ladder up into the middle class. That's what we wanted the medallions to be, a ladder up into the middle class. But market forces, like the explosion of app-based for-hire vehicles, the pandemic, destroyed the value of these medallions. Some were so hopeless, Richard's brother, Kenny Chow, that they committed suicide because the lenders were going after them and saying, we're taking your home. And the humiliation of not being able to support your family and losing your home was just devastating. So I know from my father-in-law and how he struggled as a cab driver what it meant. Now in 2021, the Great Taxi Workers Alliance The Great Taxi Workers Alliance reached out to my office for help, Beravi and her group, and we have been working closely with them to fix this issue. As you know, during COVID, I got New York $6 billion in aid via the American Rescue Plan. The money went right to the city, not to Albany, where they never would have seen it, but we made sure it went right to the city. And Mayor de Blasio announced a relief program because I called him and I said, hey, out of this $6 billion, we need a small amount to help the taxi drivers. But the plan wasn't enough to help the drivers restructure their loans in a sustainable way. So I called Mayor de Blasio personally. I told him I believe that a city-backed debt guarantee, a backstop, was the only way to address the serious financial issues facing the cab drivers and deliver economic justice to these workers after so many had been victims of predatory lending, mismanagement, and everything like that. Then, after working with my office and the Taxi Workers Alliance, the city finally agreed to guarantee the Medallion debt so drivers can reduce the principal on their loans. And today we're here to celebrate that over 1,000 have reduced their debt. They're still paying a debt, but a debt they can live with and work and be proud and support their families. Over 1,000 workers now have had that happen. This is about economic justice, plain and simple. The taxi drivers needed a lifeline, and now they have it. Over 1,000 Medallion owners have gotten the debt relief. Now, I brokered this deal back in November with the last administration, but I really want to give special credit to Mayor Adams and David Doe, our great commissioner. They've been relentless in seeing it all through. The deal was negotiated under the former mayor, but this mayor had to make sure that the money got to where it was and that the deal that we negotiated was followed through on. And they did. When Mayor Adams says he's a get-stuff-done mayor, this is one great example. You got it done, baby. Thank you. I also really want to thank Andrew Milgram of Marblegate. Marblegate was the biggest lender, and he worked with common sense and a collaborative approach. He understood that just making the cab drivers pay so much wouldn't help anybody, including the lending company, because they wouldn't have the ability to pay it back. They couldn't do the job anymore. And so I want to thank him as well. And I want to thank so many other elected officials who helped, including Zoram Mandami. He's not here, I don't think, but he really got me involved in this, and he deserves our cheers as well. I also want to acknowledge my colleague in government, Alexandria AOC, the great Ocasio-Cortez, who's done a very, very good job at helping the cab drivers, again, following through once we negotiated the deal, how they could take advantage of it. So thank you for that as well. So the bottom line is very simple. We worked. But the courage of these people, when we couldn't get the city to pay attention, and they were desperate, many of these great people who are right here, Richard and Mr. Singh. Where's Mr. Singh? He's not here today? Yes, there you are. Miss LeCompte, where is she? Dorothy? She's here, right over there. Many of these folks went on a hunger strike, and that struck a chord in the city. We're a city where we care about other people. We're a city when we see that hardworking people are being taken advantage of, we all come together. And their hunger strike, the hunger strike of these folks, many of these folks here, just lit that fire and said, New York is not going to turn our back on you. And that helped get it done as well. And I thank those of you who went on the hunger strike. How many days was it? 15-day hunger strike, led by this lady who was very hungry, Bharavi Desai, who's led this organization for how long? 26 years. Let's have a round of applause for Bharavi as well. So, the bottom line, this is a great day for justice, for hardworking people, and for the best of New York. I thank everybody for all they have done. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Senator. And it's now my great privilege to introduce the mayor who has stood by our drivers through thick and thin, Mayor Adams.
You know, and I can recall over 25 years ago when we met,
Yes.
and we were fighting to stop our drivers from being assaulted and robbed. When many voices were silent. I remember, you know, the years ago with 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care, as we stood and really mobilized with this amazing union. This is not a new relationship, and so I think that there's something special about the battles we had dealing with the physical challenges that they experienced those 25 years ago. I'm now the mayor of the city that's dealing with the fiscal challenges that they had to overcome. This long, rich history of understanding of people who have gone through a lot because they have a mayor that has gone through a lot, and together we can make this a fair city. And this is how we do it. The three components of success: agitate, negotiate, legislate. We had the legislators that are here. We cannot thank you enough, Senator, for getting it done in a real way. We cannot thank you enough, Congresswoman, for your role in making this happen. And then we had the agitators, loud, strong, firm, making it clear that they were not going to allow their industry to be left behind. And those combined efforts, as we negotiated, we saw the best of who we are, not only as New Yorkers, but how we continue to protect the working class people of this city and of this country. And this is not an industry that just appeared out of nowhere. There's something iconic about our yellow cabs. 1907, the first symbol of a yellow cab came here. It is as iconic as the Empire State Building. It's actually older than the Empire State Building. It is the foundation of our city. And so many people pursued the American dream through the medallion and the yellow cab. And so what our partnership accomplished with the Taxi and Limousine Commission, Marblegate, Asset Management, and New York City Taxi Workers Association is just the winning combination to bring this home. And it was a fearful moment for so long. 1,000 medallions owners have closed on loans, resulting in $225 million of taxi medallion debt release so far. That is really commendable that we were able to bring this home for everyday New Yorkers. Yellow cabs are the lifeline of our city. We've all held it during emergencies. We've held it to go from one location to the other. They have reported countless number of crimes that have taken place. They have been the protectors of our city, not only in transportation, but moving us throughout this entire city. Recent years, the medallion owners and drivers have been burdened by crippling debt. And we did not want to sit on the sideline and watch this continue to happen. It's crushed dreams and it crushed families. People like Richard and Kenny Chow, who came to New York City from Taiwan in pursuit of the American dream. The brothers worked hard, put their life savings on the line. Kenny paid $750,000 for his medallion. And although he drove long shifts day after day, he couldn't earn enough to keep up with the loan payments. Richard is here with us today. Tragically, Kenny is not. Kenny took his life. And out of his pain, we found purpose to pursue what was rightfully something we should have brought to these taxi medallion owners for a long time. While we cannot bring back Kenny Chow or his fellow cab drivers because he was one of many who experienced this devastation, we can make sure that what happened to them will never happen again. And so thanks to this medallion relief program, regardless of the original medallion loan amount, over 3,000 owners now have their loans written down to a maximum of $170,000 and monthly payments that are capped at $1,234. This puts money back in their pockets, food back on the table, college tuition back for their children. It allows them to wake up to the nightmare that they were no longer part of the American dream. It allows them to experience that American dream. The debt relief program means that they're no longer maxed out on their credit cards, no longer being prevented from providing for their families. So taxi owners and drivers are there for us. Every time we raise our hands to hail a cab at a curb, they responded. Now it's time for us to stand for them. And that's what we've done. And so I cannot thank our state and our federal and congressional lawmakers for doing what was right for these medallion owners and everyday New Yorkers, hardworking New Yorkers. It's commendable what you did, Senator. Commendable what you did, Congresswoman. Thank you on behalf of the people of this city of New York. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Now I would like to introduce one of the moral leaders of this movement, Richard Chow.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, hi. My name. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Ms. Senator Schumer. Good afternoon, Mayor. And good afternoon, Commissioner Dole. And good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Richard Chow. I'm a union. That's New York Taxi Worker and union member. I'm an owner driver. I'm driving the cab for 17 years. So I want to thank you, Senator Schumer, Mayor Adam, Commissioner Dole, New York Taxi Worker Alliance leader, our leader, Braby Desai, and our Congresswoman, AOC, and all elected assembly. Elected Assemblyman Zora Mandani, he was not here.
Not here, but
So yeah,
he's here in spirit.
yeah, okay. So we thank you all. We fought it for this better for so many years, and finally we won this, and we fought this since 2018. 4 years ago, 9 drivers committed suicide, including my brother. So we have keep fighting, keep hoping, keep praying, and keep hoping for winning. And finally, we are the right track. We are in the winning, and we get the forgiven. We have a city back guarantee, so we are all the driver, Marvin, the loan holder, all the drivers, so very, very happy. And I want to thank you the Marvin and to give us the second chance. And I want to thank you, the Mr. Commissioner, give us the NRP the program, and we structure my loan. So my old amount of loans is $389,000, and now I restructure my loan $170,000, 7.3% loan, 7.3%, 25-year fixed rate, and no balloon. So my monthly payments is $1,234, and I can make a livable income and bring the food to the table. We all the driver so happy that we are new lives are coming, new days are coming for us, so we can bring the food to the table. We can raise to the kid to the college. So we are so glad that we are so happy. So we don't have to, after we don't need to sign a confession or the judgment, and we are not worried about we are not fear about losing our home, losing our assets. And so I want to thank you all the hunger striker. So a lot of people, a lot of driver, 15-day hunger striker, including myself, Baby Desai, and all some assembly members, Zura Mandani also, and assembly women, Yuling, they are hunger strike. About 50 drivers are participating in hunger strike. Some are participating 13-day, 14-day, 10-day, 12-day. So I want to thank you all, the hunger striker. Make it happen. Make it our dream life. And I want to say something that I hope the other rest of them, after we sign the Marble Gate, the loan finish next week, we were hoping the rest of the lender, like OSK, Medallion Financing, and PremFed, and other small lender, hopefully participate the NRP CD program and restructure our loan the same like a Marble Gate. So we are hoping they are joining as soon as possible. So we got to save all the driver lives, and we can make some money to make it for the living, and we can work until we are retired. And thank you for all. Congratulations on all the drivers, and we are very appreciate their support us, all elected official members. Thank you to all elected members who support us, and I really appreciate this. So I'm working until I'm going to retire. Thank you so much.
All right, Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Senator.
I don't want to do that. He can do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Richard. You know, the next person I'm about to introduce has helped my team, the TLC team, has gotten drivers to our Long Island City offices so that they can close their loans. They worked with Marblegate, with Field Point Servicing, with all of the attorneys of our drivers to get this passed. She is the labor leader that, brought us to this point. Beta V Desai.
All right. Driver power! Driver power! Okay, this is such a beautiful day. I have to tell you, we've had so many milestones in this journey that once upon a time was only full of tragedy. And to reach this point where there's so much joy and there's so much relief, honest to God, it almost feels otherworldly. 4 years ago, we returned to these steps over and over again to mark vigils for the brothers that we had lost, to a despair that most of us did not have words for, and really most of the world just could not understand. And here we are, a movement that held itself together, and we took ourselves from the depth of that despair to the sunshine of a new day. And, there's so many people to thank. And truly, when we say to you, he is the moral leader of our movement, we mean he is the moral leader of our movement. There is just no one like Richard Chow. No one. Richard took a grief that was unspeakable, particularly when it is a death by suicide, where so many cultures, it is a form of death that we are not even used to talking about privately, let alone publicly. And he channeled that pain into the purest solidarity so that no other family would experience that level of pain. And through that, he gave a light to our movement so we could find a way home to justice. And along that path, we met so many beautiful souls. The world knows them by their titles, but we got to know them as Union family. as the son-in-law of a cab driver who stood with us throughout the 26 years of our movement and in the moment of darkness never left us alone, and used his power to open doors to make everybody comfortable in that room. Thank you, Senator. We met a congresswoman who the entire world wants to claim is their congresswoman, but we get to say, no, she's ours. She took this issue and made sure that it had a national spotlight and used that spotlight to get us into the halls of Congress for a hearing at the Financial Services Committee, which brought us a spotlight into not only the general society, but also into the financial world, where we became seen as senior players. Thank you, Congresswoman. 4 years ago, I remember sitting in a cafe with the TLC chairperson of the time, who had called me in specifically to talk about this issue. We're so proud that today we get to call her our Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Joshi. There's so many people. I know Assemblyman Mamdani is not here, but we're so happy that our Councilman Krishnan is here today. He represents, was it the Proud Five who got themselves arrested right there on that corner, making sure that we were heard? And I know I'm gonna, leave out people, and I apologize for that. But this really has been such a long journey, and there were also other families of the 9 drivers who stood with us, who, put their hearts on the table, and they left it on the streets where we live and we survive. And without their courage and their sheer act of love, our movement, it's not just that we wouldn't have won, it would have been so hard for us to just stay together. Because there really were days where many of us could not get out of bed knowing the depth of this crisis. And so these past 2 weeks, I'm just going to jump forward to these past 2 weeks. It has been so phenomenal to watch the TLC team, the Field Point Services team, which is a servicer for Marblegate, the Driver Resource Center Legal Services, who've come together, and really it's such a miraculous effort to close over 1,000 loans in a short period of time. They were running back and forth and really did it with such a professionalism. Things were so smooth. I see Sydney here, I see Ryan here. I know that there are other members of the team, and we really want to thank you, because while there's so many people that brought this together, the actual logistics of it happening couldn't have happened with all of those workers behind the scenes who got that job done in these last 2 weeks. And I want to end my thanks with 3 people who represent, I know, a lot of other people behind them. Begin with Mayor Adams. This transition, we won on November 3rd, and the transition has been so smooth because of all of the work of this administration and your leadership. They assured us from day one that a commitment was made from our beautiful city, and they would make sure that the commitment would be seen through. We did not have to feel any anxiety. We did not have to feel any worries, that because of the lapse in time and a new administration coming in. And truly that goes to the credit of our mayor, and thank you so much for that. I want to thank, speaking of transitions, I want to thank our TLC chairman, David Doe, who said during his confirmation hearing that his priority would be to see this through. And you, sir, have delivered on your promise, and we thank you for that. Thank you. had to put together an entire team to make this happen smoothly, and Commissioner Doe has done exactly that. And I know that there are all these other folks from the law department and Commissioner Jiha from OMB and all these other fine folks from this city who really burned the midnight oil to see this through, and we can't thank them enough. But the thank you that I really want to end with is with Mr. Milgram. You know, Marblegate took a position that they were going to find a resolution to this crisis. It took true leadership and a moral clarity for a financial institution to come into this crisis and say, we are going to be part of the solution, that it's going to end here and we're going to draw that line. And we could not have had this day without Marblegate stepping forward, having that vision and that clarity to make sure that this debt forgiveness would be not only, not just something rhetorical, but a lived reality for thousands of our families. And so thank you so much, Mr. Milgram, and to your team. And lastly, I just want to say $225 million and counting. That is $225 million that will now go to groceries and health care, and more, education and housing. It's going to go to feed people, to clothe them, to keep a roof over their head. Our families who for years had been struggling to figure out how do they make sure they pay their medallion mortgage so they could go to work and still find a way to pay their rent in order to keep that roof over their heads. No worker should have to make those choices. And the beauty of this day, it is the beginning for thousands of our families who will no longer have to make that choice. That is unbelievable. I mean, it's so hard to quantify what that means for poor people, for working class people, for anybody who's ever gone to bed with a pain in their stomach from hunger, from every parent that has eaten less food because they saved it for their child, for every parent that's worked the 7th day and the 14th hour of the 7th day, the 15th hour of that 7th day, to make sure that their children would not have to have the worry in their futures that they have had to had in providing for them. This is a day of tremendous hope and such a beauty that a group of working class people who have been the symbol of this beautiful city, they work day in, day out on every holiday, on every weekend, on every storm and every street closure. When every New Yorker wants to go out for leisure, these men and women get behind in that car and they make sure that the person in the back seat is taken care of. We're so proud that we get to represent the ambassadors of our beautiful city, and to be able to say today that after everything that they have given to this city, they can finally feel that they are not only essential, but they are no longer expendable, and our beautiful city has recognized the value of taxi drivers. And we know, that's a chant I can't stop. So, because I don't want to. We know that this is just the beginning. We're calling on all the lenders to do what Marblegate has done, what DePalma has done, and be part of the solution. This is economically viable for everybody involved in this crisis, from the drivers to the lenders. We found a solution that is economically viable, and we call on all the lenders to come forward and to participate. Do not wait. Get your closing scheduled. We don't need to delay this anymore. The solution is already on this table. And we know we're going to keep working with our majority leader. I was going to say our majority leader. And with our congresswoman. We still got tax exemption to fight for on forgiven debt. And, you know, we know this is just the beginning. This is the beginning of us taking what was once a pathway to a middle-class life and was turned upside down into a low-wage sector. This is the new beginning where we end that race to that bottom. And we turn driving, whether you're working as a yellow cab driver or Uber or Lyft or green cab or livery or black car driver, we turn the dignity of driving for a living into a job that is valued with livable incomes and retirement and all the benefits that drivers deserve. And we're so proud to say that this journey gets to begin in a yellow cab. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beta V. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, who has hosted phone banks to get drivers to the closing table and who supported funding for this program. Congresswoman?
Thank you so much to our TLC chair. Thank you. And I want to thank our drivers too. Truly, and I mean, I want to thank our NYTWA president, Bhairavi. Thank you so much for all of your tireless work in organizing. I want to thank our organizers and our drivers. Thank you for pushing, and most of all, thank you for not giving up. Thank you for not giving up. As Bhairavi mentioned, you know, this journey started and really accelerated in 2018 when we lost so many of our taxi cab drivers here in New York City to suicide due to the mounting debt crisis. And in 2019, as soon as I entered office, we knew that we needed to make this a priority, not just for our city, not just for our drivers, but for the country. Because as Mayor Adams spoke to so well, that our New York City taxi cab drivers are iconic. They are a huge central portion of our city, but they are an icon of the United States. And everybody understands that when you get to New York, and so many of our family stories started here, that so many stories started in a yellow cab. And so when Bhairavi and Richard, thank you so much as well, came up and decided to tell their story, we did as much work as we could on the House Financial Services Committee to make sure that we got a national hearing on this issue, that we got national attention on this issue, because this isn't just for New York City, this is really about preserving an icon of America. And Bhairavi and all of our drivers rose so much to that moment. Bhairavi came and walked into the hallowed but often intimidating halls of Congress, and she delivered a testimony that did not leave a single dry eye in that house. She brought members of Congress to tears over her testimony. And we also bust down so many of our drivers. Richard was there, and I don't know if anyone else was there. We had so many of these folks that's brought their fight not just from New York City down to Washington. And from there, we were able to develop traction. When COVID hit a year later, that brought our taxi cab financial crisis into even greater and more stark contrast in how urgent the moment was. And then, of course, we had Assembly members Zohran Mamdani and Yuli New join our drivers for a hunger strike to make sure that we got it done at the final hour. So I want to thank everyone so much for coming to the table with that. Thank you, Senator Schumer, for elevating and making sure this was a priority, not just in the House, but in the Senate, that we got that money in the American Rescue Plan, and that money, you know, that while we can help and assist big financial institutions, working people should get a cut too. And that's really what this is about. Thank you so much to Marblegate for coming and being a seat at the table, and really leading by example, a centering and a valuing of the dignity of working people and their lives. Thank you so much to Mayor Adams for seeing this through. Thank you to Commissioner Doe, Chairman Doe, for ensuring that we got this done as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. And thank you so much to the everyday New Yorkers that stepped up this week to sign up, to phone bank, and to call our taxi cab drivers to let them know that this opportunity was available and how they could get relief. And this story is New York at its best. This is New York at its finest, and this is a New York that gives a damn, because we do. And I mean, I'm just so utterly proud of every single person here, and it really demonstrates what is possible when we don't give up, and when government and when all of us center working people at the core of our work. So thank you all very, very much.
And finally, through all the support from the people behind me, I'm very excited to announce that with the help of Andrew Milgram of Marblegate, for Marblegate loans, we will be extending closings for one more week until October 7th. So thank you so much for that. Andrew cares about this industry. He has full faith in this industry, and he has been so incredible to work with. And so I am so excited to welcome him up to say a few words. Andrew?
Thank you, Commissioner. I am exceedingly proud to be here today to talk about a number of issues that are dear to those of us at Marblegate, the intersection of economic opportunity and the immigrant experience and the vitality of New York City. I'm happy that the life-changing program that was initiated by New York City through the leadership of Senator Schumer has made such a difference and will make a lasting impact for many years. As many have said ahead of me, the yellow cab is an iconic symbol of New York City. And when Marblegate first entered this industry at really the depth of its crisis in 2018, our goal was to fundamentally change the way drivers were treated by a system that far too often neglected their needs. From the outset, we sought to enact innovative solutions that would improve how the industry operates and recognize a real opportunity to demonstrate the role private capital can play to affect equitable change and drive social good, particularly in the city we love. For us, this meant taking a fresh approach that focused on putting the driver at the center of the yellow cab industry so that the industry itself could return to stability. It's that same perspective that guided our partnership with all of the stakeholders you see here today in developing the Medallion Relief Program. I especially want to thank the tenacity of our partners at the New York Taxi Workers Alliance, with whom we have developed an unbelievably close working relationship, to our partners and regulators at the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commissioner, as well as the mayor and his staff. As you've heard, we've generated over $225 million in debt forgiveness in just the last 2 weeks. Now, to give you some perspective, that is now over 1,000 loans that have been restructured. And in that 2-week period, that means that we were closing a loan, restructuring every 3 minutes. And so just to echo the sentiments that have been offered before, thanks to the very, very, very hard work of a humongous staff at the Taxi and Limousine Commission, as well as our team at Field Point Servicing, we've achieved really remarkable outcomes in a very short period of time. And it's because of that remarkable success that, as the Commissioner announced, we're happy to extend this program another week. And please, to all drivers, please come in, take advantage of the hard work that's been put into making this program a reality. I want to thank everybody who has been working around the clock to make this Medallion Relief Program a success. The historic agreement demonstrates the important role that private capital can play in driving equitable change and what is possible when labor, government, and capital work cooperatively to solve problems. I want to thank everyone again. This is a monumental victory and outcome. Real New Yorkers ride yellow cabs, and yellow cabs are back.
What I want to say here is the original solution that was proposed by the city, not this administration, didn't work. It certainly didn't work for the drivers. But it also didn't work for the city, which would have paid more money under their solution. Now it's probably going to cost them next to nothing. But it also really didn't work for the lenders. But so many of the lenders were just intransigent and didn't look beyond the immediate payment and said, we're not going to go along. But this one did. He stood up and he said, this is better for everybody. And when we put together the negotiations in the room, and of course the Taxi Worker Alliance was part of it, he stood up. And that really helped us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Big check. Gotta go over the podium.
Don't drop it or it'll bounce. Not this one.
Thank you. Okay.
Miss Amir, the senator has already.
We're going to do a few on topics real quick.
We'll follow up.
Guys, we're going to do a quick few questions. If you can stay quick. We'll do a few on topic questions.
Bye, everybody.
One quick photo. Topics first.
Where's Robbie?
Robbie, sir? Stay to me, we're going to do some questions on topic if you could just stay up. Andrew, we'll start with you. Go ahead.
Mayor, what's your sense of how many thousands of other drivers who haven't gotten debt relief? And what is your message to the lenders that are not participating in it?
Well, I think as the union leadership stated, we reached over 1,000. There are more out there. They've done an amazing job of phone banking, reaching out, and all lenders should come on board. This is an opportune time for a good plan with a good deal where there's a win-win for all, and we want everyone that's eligible to be signed up, get signed up.
About the outstanding Marble Gate cab drivers have loans. You said there's roughly, 3,000 left. What's going to happen to them? How soon do you expect them to enroll in this, or are they just kind of frozen?
So we believe there are about 2,000 Marblegate specific loans that will qualify. For lots of technical reasons, it's hard to pin that number down exactly. The Taxi Workers Alliance, as well as the city, the Tax and Limousine Commissioner, as well as Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's office are all pushing hard to make sure everybody is getting there. The reality is that the program does have a definitive life for it, and so we encourage everybody to get in just as soon as possible in order to get their paperwork processed so that we can move forward with the restructurings.
Before that timeline ends in a week, then they're not going to be eligible for this relief?
We encourage everybody to get in as soon as possible.
Just to follow up on that, so the window's been open for a couple of weeks. There's 1 week left. You've gotten 1,000 done so far. At that rate, you might get another 300 done, so even at your own timeline, not even half the loans would get reworked. How's that success?
So we've actually seen at peak moments, we're doing hundreds a day. So our peak was 192 in 1 day. And so it's very achievable in the timeline. And if people are signed up, we will make sure that we accommodate anyone and everyone who is signed up to get their loan processed.
Any other on topics? On topics. Once.
Why the microphones don't work?
It's working for the cameras.
I just wanted to add really quickly, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're talking about the number of loans, right? Number of medallions, I mean. So there are some individuals who have more than one medallion. So you don't, it's not like we're talking about getting in an additional 1,000 people. It's a far lesser number of people because it's the number of medallions is larger than the number of individuals. And so, so to us, it's a manageable number within this time period.
On topic?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Jen Pelt from the AP. Does anyone have an estimate of how many non-marble gate loans are in need of this relief?
So there are about 1,100 more. We're working with all of our lenders to get them to the table. PenFed is one of the bigger lenders. They have about 300, and they'll be closing loans in the next couple of weeks. And so it's going to be a success. We're going to continue working with all of our lenders. We have a partnership, Beta V and I, to get the remaining 850 that she has outlined to work with various banks, community banks, to make sure that every medallion owner who is interested in this program can be a part of this program. Beta V, do you want anything to add?
So we identified 24 lenders in total through these years. Now, some of those lenders are making what's called a cash settlement. So they're not looking to stay in the industry. They'll offer you a settlement of a large amount, and then they're looking to exit. So we think that there are around 850 medallion loans that are spread out across about 19 of those lenders, so it's like very few per lender, and we've been working to bring all of them to the table. We're in active communication with all except for like 4 of them, and we're hoping that now that the program is operational, they see how successful it is. That I think really beginning next week is when we're going to actually know if there will even be any remaining holdouts, but we feel incredibly confident that we're going to be able to get everybody in.
Any more on topics?
Just for clarification, do we know how many cabs are currently?
I do have topics. I got another.
Off topics.
Thanks, folks. I don't want y'all to have to do this off topic. Yeah.
So we're going to do off topics if everybody else wants to. You don't need to stay for this if you don't want to. All right, Katie, you have off topic?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Hi, Mayor Adams.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I wanted to ask you. I know Deputy Mayor Phil Banks. He's very involved in his public schedule that was released to us through a FOIL. He's very involved in the NYPD meeting with chiefs. Yet it's not in his official portfolio. Do you want to talk about why? I mean, I know he's a deputy mayor for public. You're good. I've done it before. I know he's the deputy mayor of public safety, but in terms of his frequent meetings with the police chiefs without the police commissioner, I just wanted to get your take on why that is.
Well, all of my deputy mayors, they all have portfolios. Deputy Mayor Joshi has a portfolio of Department of Sanitation, Parks, and a host of others. And they interact. That's how we have a team mindset. Deputy Mayor Banks is in charge of the entire law enforcement apparatus in the city. That includes everything from hospital police to sheriffs. It's imperative that we cross-collaborate and communicate. That's how we operate. All of us operate in one unison. And some of those operations, like what we did during Juve, it took a cross-section of law enforcement agencies. And it's easier when the deputy mayor can reach out to those agencies with the commissioners. And so we have a great collaboration every week. The commissioner and I meet with the deputy mayor of public safety. That is how we function as a team.
Let me just go why is his office not here?
Liz, go ahead. We're just doing one at a time. Liz, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, my colleague Matt Katz earlier this week did a story in which he released some images from Rikers that showed inmates defecating in a holding area, lying near feces, needing medical attention. I wanted you to respond to those images. How is that acceptable? And what do you say to advocates that this is proof that the city needs to accept a federal receivership?
I say to advocates that believe we need a federal receivership to go to the federal house of detention on 3rd Avenue. Quality care of individuals who are in custody should be determined by the entities who are responsible. We are responsible. I have not seen the video we're talking about. I don't know when it was produced. There's not much I know about it, but we're going to look into any allegation of inappropriate behavior and make sure it's done right. The federal oversight has stated we're moving in the right direction. This is the federal monitor. The federal monitor is stating that this administration is moving in the right direction to fix some of those problems that we have witnessed for decades. And so I have full confidence in Commissioner Molina to do what is right. And we're going to review and look over any type of evidence of any improper or inappropriate atmospheres. Yes, sir.
The Post reported about an hour ago that you're reaching a deal with Norwegian Cruise Lines to house immigrants that have fled to the city or been bused here. Is there a more permanent solution after that? Because obviously the space from the cruise ships or the would-be cruise ships would run out at the rate they're being bused here.
When we get an announcement of any type of deal, we will make it public with a level of transparency. And so any premature announcement of deal that was reached, they know more than I do.
I wanted to ask about the Herc shelter at Orchard Beach, as well as the potential for the cruise ship. The administration, even Sackett spoke before the council earlier, is saying that the key word here is voluntary, that these shelters are going to be voluntary for migrants who are transported there. And I'm wondering, how is your administration going to communicate that to migrants that are arriving? As they arrive at Port Authority, are they going to be told that they could either go to the tent facility at Orchard Beach or they could go to a shelter indoors? So when and how is that going to be?
We are not going to do what was done in Texas. We're going to give a level of clarity and let the asylum seekers and migrants know exactly what's available in the city and be as cooperative as possible. This is a humanitarian crisis that was created by human hands, and we are faced with it. My ultimate responsibility, I've said this over and over again, are to New Yorkers. That is my ultimate responsibility to the people of this city. And we're going to continue to do what no other municipality is doing. A lot of people are missing that. No other municipality is doing what New York City is doing, as well as shelter, education, as well as health care. We have gone beyond the call of duty to make sure that we are treating people with a humane way, and we're going to try to be as communicative as possible.
Voluntary, doesn't that defeat the purpose?
Come on, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Politico reported today about a contractor your administration chose to work on the Bronx shelter. It's the same contractor who did work on Trump's border wall. Do you have any concerns about that, and would you like to respond to criticism to quote council members Nahana Beach, that it's not okay that this quote was also literally created to keep migrants?
This contractor has worked on so many projects. I don't know what their voting pattern is, if they vote for Trump or not. It's like, someone drives Trump in a cab. Do we all of a sudden not take that cab again? Listen, these are professionals that have done a good job in many projects in the city, and they want a contract to do something else. We're not aware of that,
Nolan, go ahead.
We're gonna do the press first, and then we come back to you.
Go ahead.
What's up, Nolan?
Mr. Mayor, have you heard any more about the man who stabbed the medic to death? Did he have any history with mental illness? Had his family requested any intervention from the city?
We're not allowed to go into the mental health of someone. The police department did their briefing, and they're going to report whatever information that they are allowed to report. We lost a hero, and it's really unfortunate when we look at the mental health crisis that our city and country is facing right now. We have to make sure that people are getting the proper care. And that means opening up more mental health beds. That means looking at Kendra's Law. I've been talking about this for some time now. We can't continue to ignore that we have a mental health crisis, and we have to do a better job in dealing with those who need that wraparound care. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Sorry for trying to sneak in 2 cameras.
Thanks, Kayla. Thank you.
Not on my watch.
Thank you so much.